It's been a long time coming since I've been needing to record episode 3. And the irony about all these podcasts is I really hate talking. But more than that, I really hate bottling things up that I'm finding and that I suspect may have a lot to do with our current circumstances, and feeling like really I've been duped into this lifestyle of, just basically letting people determine for me what my life is going to look like. And the reason I'm doing this really is because I really miss being home, that feeling of home. And when I say that, I am referring to not just a residence, a place to call home that you really feel at peace in. I'm talking about even, my spiritual home. Like, for example, I've been really grappling recently with wanting to go back and be with my spiritual brothers and sisters, the real ones. And I get the sense that there's a lot of things that have to be ironed out, and I don't know where it's going to lead or how it's going to play out. I'm trusting that God will be able to put all these, not will be able to, but is basically moving pieces for his own purpose. And I guess that means that in some way and some form, this will all come together and it'll make sense at some point. But yeah, basically, that's also one of the driving forces of me recording this. So without further ado, I want to get into some of the findings that I've had for a while. And I know I touched on all the things pertaining to do with South Africa and the companies there. What I really want to do today is to link up the connections with just basically outlining how it's possible to stunt us in this very country, and how to, rally up people and companies to be able to carry out this repression even across borders. So let me get into it. The companies I'm going to mention in this list, I have to put a disclaimer, is that I'm really just trying to connect dots, and some of them came into my radar primarily because of being followed around repeatedly and noticing patterns of behavior, and the shift between like a certain season being followed by a van or a company vehicle, or perhaps being emailed by a company that's connected somehow with a company I'm going to mention. But I do need to explain this, and at the moment I have this map that I've drawn out yesterday after doing some reading, and basically reading things that I've found in the past before, but really they don't always make sense to me immediately. And I honestly try to run away from it and pretend I've never seen anything, just because it can get quite overwhelming. It's a lot of dense information, things that I'm not particularly accustomed to, but over time has become something that I just can't put behind me, because I realize it's kind of like tethering myself to past behaviors, and basically not dealing with my situation, which I feel is affecting not just me but a ton of things. But I'll let you be the judge of that. You can make of it what you will. So I'm not sure where I want to start off, and I don't even realize the chronology of me reading this. So I came across a screenshot as I'm putting something together. Came across a screenshot about ESG and ESG initiatives, something to do with a company called Steinhoff and Pepco and whatnot. And I've come across this before, and the reason it was of interest to me was because I noticed how our trips to Tesco were always met with some sort of hostility from staff, from the security, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, the security is hired particularly from a company called Bidvest. It's a UK company. I know it to be a South African company. I know they have quarters there. And I know one of the chairmen. My family's actually not far off from the chairman, and I'm not sure if I'm ready to disclose that right now, but perhaps I should. We'll see how it goes. What did I just say? Let's start off with this company called Easy Equities, or this consortium rather. I was putting this website together and I realized a website page, or this LinkedIn page with this article about how this consortium came into being, had suddenly disappeared. Like, I click on the link and it's nowhere to be found. And so I was kind of upset about this, and then went through my files trying to look for the screenshots I had saved on this, because I was just like, I did not imagine that. So then I went out looking for the evidence pretty obsessively for 2 days, in my phones, all my devices, and then finally I found it amongst other findings. But I'm going to try and focus on this because I knew that this would be the thing that connects Ireland to South Africa as it pertains to the companies that were involved in all the proceedings to do with illegal liquidation, to do with even my aunt's passing, whom I'm not sure if I disclosed that on her passing. Before that happened, Old Mutual requested, or rather Transnet, the company she was working for, requested, excuse me, making myself comfortable, requested that she sign an insurance policy from Old Mutual. So, without further ado, let me just state this, and maybe I should also quote some of this, but I'm going to just riff on my understanding of this. So, Easy Equities was led by this chairman of Bidvest, Bonang Mohale, and he basically rallied up a company called the Purple Group, and they started this platform for South Africans to invest in. So, like, it's an app, and people can buy stocks on that app. So the companies involved in that were Old Mutual, which funded or financed that project, and Sanlam and Santam. And I'm just going to get a list of some of the other companies because this is quite relevant and it's important that I get it right. What the article said here. So it's entitled "Who Owns Easy Equities?" One word, and how a consortium led by Professor Bonang Mohale gets a stake in the Purple Group. African Rainbow is also a part of this. So they just have that logo there. They have the Easy Equities logo and also ARC. So it says this article will cover the following. Who owns Easy Equities? How did a consortium led by Professor Bonan get a stake in the Purple Group? And another bullet point, relationship between Sanlam and Ubuntu Botu and African Rainbow Capital, which I just mentioned. And then another bullet point, Santam and Sanlam strategic agreements with alliance. And then it says quick numbers on Easy Equities, the unaudited summary of condensed consolidated results for the 6 months. For the 6 months ended 28 February 2022 for the Purple Group showed the following results for Easy Equities. You can go do your research on Easy Equities if you're interested, because I know there's been some updates on that and customers complaining about not being able to withdraw from their deposits and things like that. And also one of the founders basically wanting to be out of the whole consortium and get back his 20 million rand. So all those companies that were listed there have we've had some sort of run-in with in this country. First of all, Alliance. When we were staying in Mullaboden Lodge, there were these two constant other guests that stayed there, and at some point we realized, we saw these letters and then we saw the logo Alliance on them. And so we took note of this, not knowing why. And so it's just one of those things that you park in the back of your mind. But then the kind of level of persecution we were receiving there, we knew that this was not something foreign. This was very close to home. It wasn't just like a general type of persecution or type of criminal activity that happens in Ireland. We knew that it was like we knew it was international in nature. We knew it was South African in nature. And even the pair of people we're talking about were not Irish. And when I think back to it, their accents were definitely South African. What tends to happen is they will speak in such a way that borders on a British accent, so you don't really think too much about it. And so that's just something to note. And then, don't know much about the Purple Group. I think it's just somebody that's caught in this deal that's led by this person, Bonang Mohale, who is a chairman of Bidvest, the company that now has a lot of contracts with companies here in Ireland, including Allied Irish Bank, AIB, and I noticed Tesco in pretty much all the branches. And then I noticed at some point when we had been part of a gym called, it's one of those most common gyms in Ireland. I forgot what it's called, but they're one of the companies they are the company that manages that facility, doing all the cleaning and whatever else is required, the security, all things pertaining to facilities management. And so I noticed that there must be some sort of connection here between Alliance and between Bidvest and between essentially Tesco, or whatever parent company runs Tesco, or whatever kind of arrangements are in place to kind of make it seem like these are separate entities with separate interests, but really they are unified in vested interests, whether it's direct or indirect, whether they know about it or not.